Hi, I'm JB with Moss Epoxies. We're here at ShipShape TV's archives going through some of the great video that they have in tips and techniques and how-tos so that you can see how to use our products.
Now here's a bolster that I removed from the Stingray, and take a look at this plywood shell. This was never covered with any type of epoxy, and this is the result: rot. Now that's going to happen anywhere in the boat where you have wood and it's non-encapsulated, or you haven't put that epoxy resin totally around all the different edges of your plywood shells. Now we also have some carpeting inside the boat. And a problem with a boat that has carpeting in it is it has a tendency to hold moisture. And that's exactly what's happened here. We have a big soft spot right in front of this engine, and we're going to need to cut an exploratory hole down into the deck in order to see how the deck is made, and it's going to dictate how we're going to do the repair. We want to make sure that there's no fuel lines or there's no fuel tank down underneath where you're going to be cutting into the deck. That's exactly what it is. It's a plywood deck. Let me get my flashlight out. Let's take a look down there. Feels like there may be some type of a stringer over here on this side. And we got some foam that we're going to need to deal with. Now, how we would continue this repair is we would take a reciprocating saw, just like this, and we would start the process of cutting out the rot. But we need to first find out the extent of the rot. How far does this rot go out? And I'm going to be using this. This is called a phenolic hammer. And this is going to tell me where the rot stops and where good wood starts. And it's just kind of through a sight and sound process of tapping the deck. So we're going to get a good piece of deck here. I think this area is pretty much where our rot is isolated to. Now, when we're making the cut, if you can, what you want to do is, rather than cutting all of your lines or cutting that material out, you don't want to cut on a 90-degree angle. What I mean is you don't want to be cutting a straight up and down cut. Instead, if you can, see if you can cut it at a 45-degree angle. Here's why. Same deck that we've cut out, but rather than the 90-degree cut, we cut it on a 45-degree angle going inwards, and we did the same thing with our patch. And notice that we encapsulated it with epoxy resin. We don't want rot. We also covered all of our edges here with epoxy resin. And look, the deck actually supports the patch by itself. Now we have some fiberglass that I want to show you, and this is some different types of fiberglass, and I want to show you what to avoid and what to use in your repair. After you have put your patch into your boat, you don't want to use just this material right here. This is called fiberglass chop strand mat. This is not for any type of structural repair. This is more for a cosmetic fiberglass repair. It doesn't have the strength that other types of glass do. And when you are putting in the patches, you want to use some type of cloth that's either a stitched biaxial or a knitted biaxial. This is a stitched biaxial cloth right here. This is called a 1708 stitched biaxial. Has a little bit of chop strand mat on the one side that helps with multiple layers adhering to one another, but it's a very, very strong cloth. And you put your first patch, making sure that you cover all of your edges on all sides, overlapping. And then you make your second patch even a little bit larger. Now remember, you're going to be grinding your deck around, and these patches are going to let you tie into that existing deck, which is going to make it very, very strong. Now what I do when I'm tying in fiberglass into any structural repair on the boat, a deck is a structural repair, I like to use epoxy resin versus polyester resin. You're going to get a much stronger repair. Again, when you're talking about a deck, it's really, really important.